For this month on the global side of Langrisser, majority of the people are going to be taking it easy and safe with some of the even crazier characters coming in the following months. The characters this month are great, but not as crazy as those coming in the very near future. Like Patricia here. She is very amazing at what she does, but nothing game changing like the ones that we've been seeing recently. So to anyone interested, let's go check out what she does and how to build her. So with her talent, her damage increases based on her HP. After actively dealing damage, she applies Soul Burning Plague to the enemy 3 times, each with a chance of succeeding. What this debuff does is that the enemies will take Thxs damage. When a debuff is dispelled from the unit, Soul Burning Plague will be prioritized first, which stacks up to 5 times that lasts for 2 turns. So nothing impressive so far, right? Looks like a generic debuffer, but you gotta really take a look at her kit to realize more of her potential, especially with her Thxs, but we'll take a look at that later. Her left path makes her a bit more tankier, like only magic defense, meanwhile her right path makes her a bit more offensive due to the skill increase for more crit chance. So pick what you like the most. For her mastery stones, armor headwear, HP, int, and defense. Weapon accessory, HP, int, and skill. But if you want Patricia to focus more on survivability, then you can do defense instead of skill for the accessory. For her arena stones, either defensive or an offensive set. In my opinion, I personally like her being more offensive since she enables more of a rush playstyle, which fits well since she always needs to rely on her teammates for a range plus it makes her pressure game even better for more damage. For her best soldiers, the new mage, which is mostly used in PvP, they do magic damage and their attack does increase. Before initiating battle, they lose 10% of their HP that deals a certain amount of fixed damage based on their upgrade level to the enemy. So with these guys, you'll be able to get through stuff like Last Rites. Crystal Warlock are your defensive soldiers, Sorcerers are going to be your harder hitting soldier, then Firebrand Sniper to deal with flyer enemies. Her best weapon will be the Red Moon for more HP and int. It's also a really good flexible item if you want to do single target and AoE at the same time. Miracle Staff is not bad for AoE focus, then Blue Moon is your alternative choice if you don't have the ones that I mentioned. Her best armor will be Tenuos. It's really the best thing for them since they don't have anything else better for mages. Some other options are Nebulous Robe to take less reflect damage and have more HP, then Galaxy Robe if you don't have anything else better. The best helmet for her is the Star Crown, which will increase her damage potential since it will increase her skill. Tenuos is another amazing choice to use. You can also use Electric Headwear for the displacement immunity, or Earmuffs to allow a single teammate to take less damage. If you don't have any of those, then Dark Crown is an alright choice until you can get a better one that I mentioned. As for accessory, Dimensional Jewel for the little cooldown, Vidar's Rose to dispel buffs, Holy Ring so that she isn't blocked from using her 3C, since it is her main part of her kit, because that 3C is what allows her to fully function. Then something else like the Creeping Tide to apply a magic defense debuff, so that she can maybe follow up with another AoE to deal even more damage. It'll add even more pressure with her already insane damage output plus her talent debuff. But anything else to increase her int is fine till you get the best recommended one that I listed. As for her best enchants, Full Moon for the flexible stats, Magic for more damage. Clock is not bad for constant pressure. Some people may recommend it, but the way how I see it is that Patricia relies heavily on her teammates to engage. And if her teammates can't survive long enough for Patricia to attack, then it feels kinda useless. But if you don't see the way how I see it, then by all means go for it. You don't always have to listen to me, but that's just how I see it. The best enchants that you want to go for, HP, int, and defense. And of course with accessory, you can also go with skill. But mainly just go for HP and int because it'll cost a lot of investments if you try to get the perfect chance. If you get a third one, then that's nice. It's typically a bonus. Alright, so hopefully you guys have an idea on how to build the Patricia. So to anyone struggling with the first awakening stage, I'll help walk you guys through it. Alright, so for this stage, you're going to be up against Jace, Isolde, and Ashian. So the skills that you want to bring with her, I recommend her unique 1C, since it does heal her plus the skill cooldown. Then I really recommend going single target because if you try to go AoE, you're not really attacking safe with it. So I do recommend Wingblade to deal with Isolde and Ashian, and then anything else like her 2C, which is just a more stronger single target skill. For the soldiers, Sorcerers are going to be your harder hitting soldiers. Then you got the Firebrand Sniper for the fixed damage, plus you're going to be dealing with the enemies in here a lot more better. Even Jace too, because he takes more damage from physical attacks. So yeah, Firebrand Sniper, I highly recommend using these guys. To deal with Jace, use a unique 2C. Attacks from 3 range, you're gonna be outranging him, so hopefully that's that. If you can't one-shot him, hopefully the debuff that you apply to him can finish him off, and also using the Firebrand Sniper for the fixed damage too. If he lives, use your unique 1C, and hopefully play it safe again until you can get that 2C back. To deal with Solda, just simply go up to her and use Wing Blade. Wing Blade allows you to deal more damage against flowers, so hopefully you are able to kill her. Plus using the Firebrand Sniper and her talent debuff are going to be your extra insurance. And now finally with Ashen, you want to stay an extra block away because she does have Air Slash. So do your positioning right, and then once she gets closer, finish her off with Air Slash. I said Air Slash, Wing Blade. It should do a lot, hopefully one-shots, most likely one-shots, and then there you go. Really straightforward. And I guess if you really have to, take advantage of the terrain on the left or right, but if you're using the Firebrand Snipers as well as using the Wing Blade skill, you're most definitely going to be one-shotting both Isolde and especially Ashen. So yeah, really straightforward, no like any kind of tricks or anything like that besides maybe Jace. And now with the 3C. This is the one that makes it fully function as a character. So when you use it, it has a span of 3 blocks, it gives allies mobility +1 for 2 turns. And also applies Providence of the Flaming Crown, which makes you immune to mobility reduction before battle, applies 1 stack of Soul Burning Plague to the enemy. Upon that, Patricia deals a little bit of AoE magic damage to the damage dealer. It cannot be dispelled, that lasts 4 turns. After using the skill, it is replaced with Crimson Crown Command for 3 turns. Now this right here is an AoE. Now it doesn't really tell you, I don't know why, whenever there's like a 2-parter skill, which I feel like they should show it anyways, but has a span of 4 blocks that attacks around her. The passive on it, when using a skill, enemies with at least 3 layers of her Soul Burning Plague, or allies with Providence of the Flaming Crown, will be considered to be within 2 blocks of Patricia's skill, and ranged soldiers can attack with her. It deals a massive AoE damage to enemies within 4 blocks around them, and applies 2 random debuffs. At the end, she heals her allies, and then changes back to the first part of her skill. So if you don't understand that passive, that right there is what allows her to fully function, like I said, because it gives her a massive range. But the range is very similar to Sagani's Owl. You know when you place the owl, it acts like Sagani's right there? That's gonna be the same ideal with Patricia, except it's gonna be on her allies. So if you have your attacker like near the enemy, and if that ally has that buff, Patricia can attack from one side of the map and attack the enemy nearby that ally who is probably on the other side as well. That range is going to be crazy, especially if that ally has the revive. Patricia has a sure chance of attacking. And not only that, she can even use her unique onesie on those allies, but that's only if they have that buff though. So yeah, you can imagine the potential with this. Plus, Patricia already has an insane damage output, plus with the debuff putting some damage pressure too. So yeah, Patricia is going to be one crazy character if you're able to get the 3C. Alright, so if you guys are interested, this is what her 3C animation looks like. Alright, so to anyone new around here, normally with how these second awakening stages work, I don't show them off in the video unless they are like really difficult to do, which in most cases, they really aren't, because you do get 3 other characters that you can use, and they're really reliable enough to get you by it. Like even some of the time where you don't even need to use your character too. Just play it really smart, and you will be able to clear it no problem. Alright, so with that being said, let's go right on into her showcase. Alright, so here we are. We are going to recap. Her damage will increase based on her maximum HP. After actively dealing damage, she applies Soul Burning Plague to the enemy 3 times, but each of them will have a chance of succeeding. What Soul Burning Plague does is that it just does fixed damage, and when a debuff is dispelled from the unit, Soul Burning Plague will be dispelled first. That stacks 5 times, that lasts for 2 turns. So we are going to go ahead and attack, and then... So yeah, you can see like there's like a little bit of delay showing each time the debuff was being stacked. So on Elwyn, only got 1 stack. Leanna, same thing, but Sherry though, 3 debuffs. And of course, if you are a higher star level, like at 6 star, it's a 70% chance, you have a much better odd of applying it. So Sherry does have 3 other debuffs. Elwyn has 2, Leanna only has 2, and yeah. Okay, so let's see if Leanna does dispel some stuff, or everyone has to do their action first. Oh, there it goes. Okay. And look at that. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna see. So let's go all the way back. So let's see. Elwyn has 1, Hein has 4. If you do check out Leanna, she only dispels 1 debuff. So I'm gonna look at them again. Okay, now if we go ahead. So yeah, Soul Burning Plague on Elwyn got dispelled first. Hein, now he only has 3 stacks. So yeah, very good to keep like some of the stronger debuffs like the one on Hein, where he cannot receive any buffs. And these debuffs do like stack in their damage, similar to how like with Theon's, which is a really nice little thing. Otherwise we're going to be seeing them take fixed damage one by one by one. It would be a little bit annoying if that were the case. Now if I go all the way back, we're gonna take a look at a 1C real quick. A 3-turn cooldown. The passive on it, after being attacked and receiving damage, if she's below 30% HP, this skill is not on cooldown. The effect on this is triggered and the skill will enter cooldown. What this one does is that it expels 2 debuffs that heals and reduces skill cooldown by 2. A really powerful skill that acts like a emergency insurance. So I'm gonna go ahead and try out the skill right now. So let's go ahead and use that. A ton of healing 5 times. And there it is. She got her 2C back. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Okay, so hopefully what I want to see is the passive being triggered. Okay. Oh, there we go. There it is. I actually never seen that. I only tested Patricia twice, and that was my first time actually trying to get that to work. So yeah, that's really nice. An emergency heal that acts whenever she's at 30% HP. So you basically saw all the effects being triggered, and then gets put into a cooldown. But you can do a lot more with it if you have her 3C, because it increases her skill range by 2. Because whoever has that buff increases her range by 2. It's not like naturally increasing it, but more like it can only reach 2 blocks long. So with most of the teammate having it, now looks what happens when I click on the 1C. She can use it within 2 blocks of her, and it can be used on her other teammates as well, no matter where they are, but it's just as long as they have it. Now if we take a look at a unique 2C, a 2-turn cooldown that reaches 3 blocks long. For every 1 debuff on the enemy, the damage on the skill will increase to 30%. And with ranged soldiers, they attack with her. That applies 1 powerful debuff. So we are going to be using it on the ice dragon, because it's a lot more easy to tell from here. So right now the dragon has no debuff. So I'll go ahead and attack the dragon. Actually, turn on animation. I want to see what it looks like. So go ahead. Oh, actually applies 1 debuff because the 3C. So that should be a 10% increase. So that was 63k. So now the dragon has 4 debuff. So good enough to fulfill that maximum damage output. So now let's see what the damage looks like now. 71. If your teammates are able to apply debuffs themselves, then there's no really need for Patricia to do her thing before she can do her single target skill. Allows her to set that up much faster. Now we can finally take a look at a 3C. The most important thing about Patricia's kit. It gives mobility +1 to allies within range for 2 turns and applies Providence of the Flaming Crown that makes you immune to mobility reduction, and before battle, applies 1 stack of Soul Burning Plague to the enemy. Upon death, Patricia deals a little bit of AoE damage to the damage dealer. The 3C buff cannot be dispelled, that lasts for 4 turns. After using the skill, it is replaced with another skill for 3 turns. So let's go ahead and see 3 block span, and now if we go ahead and use it, and now we can see the teammates have the mobility as well as Providence of the Flaming Crown, immune to mobility reduction and Soul Burning Plague. If the ally who has this dies, then Patricia does her AoE damage. But Patricia herself though has another thing, Crimson Crown Command for 3 turns, which is the second part of her 3C. So now if we go ahead and look at it, you can see this thing has a 3-turn cooldown that has a 4 block span around her. The passive on it, when using skills, enemies with at least 3 stacks of Soul Burning Plague and allies with Providence of the Flaming Crown, the surrounding 2 blocks are regarded as within this unit's skill range. And when attacking, ranged soldiers can attack with her. This is an AoE skill that attacks within 4 blocks and applies 2 random debuffs. Afterwards, she's able to heal allies who have Providence of the Flaming Crown. And that 3C buff is what allows Patricia to use a support skill on anyone who has that 3C buff. That even gets extended to 2 blocks because of that. Except skills like a unique 2C, it says that it reaches 3 blocks long, but that's really only for Patricia, because if we count 1, 2, and 3, her teammates with the 3C buff, 1, 2. And that's only because the 3C only allows her skill range to increase by 2 to allies who have it. So that's why with the 3C, it is a lot more effective in that regard because it's a self range that expands. You can see the skill range does reach the enemies, but that's because the 3C only has a range that touches that unit. It's a self range, instead of being a skill that reaches to the enemies. So even if I go down here, she can even use it on her allies who doesn't even have it. So yeah, enough with that explanation. Let's go ahead and see what the skill looks like. So 3, 2, 1. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so yeah, there's 2 debuffs. So yeah, it's 2 random debuffs, so you can get really lucky and get some of the powerful ones, like passive down, heal block, cannot be buffed. But yeah, looks like we just got some of the more generic debuffs. But if you really want to see what this buff does with your own eyes, you guys saw this one before where if anyone who has this, if they attack before battle, they apply the accident kill Liana. But you guys definitely saw the talent debuff from Patricia get applied onto Liana. But I think what you guys really want to see is what happens if they die with the buff. So Hein kills that cavalry, and now Patricia does her thing, and then there we go. See, it's a little bit of damage, I know, but it's really meant to just apply her talent debuff. So it gets applied before the end of the turn, so it's a nice punish. So right now it's on a cooldown, but we can just use her 1C on herself to get that little cooldown, have it right away, and we do have one more turn left on the second part of her 3C. In the FYI, she'll still get the first part of her 3C back, even though the 3C that she has right now is on cooldown. So I'm just gonna go ahead and attack with it again. And since we have one more turn left of it, she should get it back on this turn. There we go, it expired. And there we go, she has it again. So yeah, every 3 turns, you are going to need to refresh every single time. Can get really annoying too because she really needs to rely on her allies if she wants to expand more of her range. Because she'll still get them back either way. And then have her 3C, trying to get in as much allies in there. And then if we go ahead and check it again, there it is, it's back again. So yeah, there's really no need to worry. So yeah, if you're thinking to yourself, okay, yeah, I need to wait so I can still have it. Nah, you don't even have to think about it. If you see the opportunity to, you can definitely use her 3C without worrying of having to wait, which I think is really nice to reset her back. So overall, Patricia is a very solid character. Her relying on her teammates is obviously going to be her biggest weakness. So her best suit is going to be more of a rush playstyle, so that she can make the most out of her range. She'll be able to follow up easily with her 3C, especially if that teammate has a revive or is very tanky. It has a massive range that will inflict tons of debuff combined with her talent, even capable of instantly wiping out Resential's talent stacks. Typically, it's best to go for it the first thing you can, since it's the only one with the best range, and with it, you can maybe get lucky and get some of the more powerful debuffs, since any of her other skills that she tries to use are going to have a 2-block range, always, unless she's the one using it herself, so it's not really as effective. She even offers a very powerful support skill that heals and lowers skill cooldown by 2, which can be used on allies as long as they have that 3C buff. Or if they don't have it, Patricia can use it within 2 blocks, even on those allies as well. And that's really the most notable part about her kit, her 3C, her 1C. And I really do like how her 1C acts like an emergency healing. One of the most unique things that I've ever seen of all in Langrisser. Just having an emergency insurance is so nice. She mainly wants to be able to combo with her teammates to deal tons of damage while applying tons of debuff with the pressure, whittling down the enemy's HP. If the enemy kills that ally with the 3C buff, then they get punished for it. Which is funny too because although they aren't getting hurt a lot from it, they'll take even more damage from her fixed damage. And that's really what her pressure game is all about. To apply tons of debuff to make it harder for the enemy healers to dispel some of the more annoying debuffs, chipping down the enemy's HP, and she herself can even do tons of damage as well. And sometimes if you're very lucky with the debuff, they can be useless if you are able to apply a heal block. Those healers will have a hard time trying to get rid of that because her talent debuff will get dispelled first. Also is a character that is very committal too, if you want to take action, because otherwise, she needs to wait 3 turns in order to set up again. And she will need her teammates nearby if she wants to expand more of her range. Yeah, you definitely don't want to deal with Patricia. She'll literally burn you down if you don't have a very capable healer to help sustain against her pressure game. So, there you have it. That was Patricia's showcase. In regular content, you can definitely ignore her. There's much better mages out there for you to use. There's no reason to get Patricia if you're focused on that. Unless you really like the character, then by all means go for it. For PvP, her 3C is obviously going to be really needed, and even though she's good, there is more crazier characters coming very soon. So it's best to save with those characters instead. But if you do enjoy a very aggressive playstyle, you'll find Patricia very amazing to use. She really synergizes with that kind of playstyle. But that's all I got for you guys. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe want to see more, and feel free to let me know down in the comments how you guys feel about Patricia, or if there was anything that I may have missed. So yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.